As you learn meditation, it's normal to face a whole number of barriers to practice. In this section, I'll answer some common questions that people have when starting meditation. So the first is, am I doing it right? It's very normal to worry about whether you're doing meditation right or not. As long as you're making an effort to pay attention and to bring your mind back each time it wanders off, then you're doing it right. And if you notice that you have lots of judging thoughts such as, I'm not doing this properly, or I'm hopeless at this, remember that it's the noticing of these thoughts that is the practice. Judging is simply a thought passing through the mind. The aim is to simply be aware of whatever is happening and staying open and accepting of what you notice. Another question is, how can I deal with pain? Having painful sensations such as joint stiffness, muscle ache, headache, or some other unpleasant feeling during a meditation can be quite a challenge. Our normal response to pain is to immediately try to stop it or make it go away. There's nothing wrong with moving during a meditation to find a more comfortable position, including using cushions and rugs to support your back or knees. However, try to do this with awareness and see if you can explore different ways of relating to the pain. I couldn't find time. Now, we all know that finding time for something is really about what we prioritise. So if keeping our job is a priority, we get to work. And if there's a new movie or TV show we really want to watch, most of us can figure out a way to see it. Most people have very busy lives, and it can be hard to find enough time for exercise, to catch up with our friends and family, to read the books we want to, and meditation can be seen as just another thing to fit in. We often look for the right time or place or moment to meditate. We think, when I finish this, then I'll do it. Or when this project's over, then I'll have time. Yet for most of us, there's always an endless list of other things that needs to be done. Waiting for the right time to meditate is like waiting for an extra hour to appear in the day. Finding time for meditation will not just happen, the time needs to be created. And this means setting up a meditation as a priority in your day, so that meditation becomes a commitment no matter what other demands you may have. Of course, life and death matters will always take priority. But unless you're facing these, there's no reason why at least 15 minutes of your day cannot be protected from meditation practice. Unless, of course, it's not a priority. And this is where your initial intentions for the course become critical. So ask yourself now, how important is it that I reduce stress in my life and improve my likelihood of sleeping well? How do I rate the importance of these goals compared to other things on my to-do list? Another question people ask is, how do I stop my mind wandering so much? The mind wandering in a meditation is very often mistakenly regarded as a bad thing or a failure. There's nothing wrong with the mind wandering. This is what minds do. It's the mind's nature to think. Mindfulness meditation is not about creating a blank mind. It's simply about learning to be aware of thinking and to be able to choose to let go of the thought when you want to. Very experienced meditators will still find days that their minds are very busy and active, but their experience allows them not to judge this, and instead they simply watch the mind go off on all its tangents. This watching helps them to stay out of the thinking process. And after a while, the mind generally begins to settle and becomes less active. The aim is not to stop the mind wandering, but simply to be aware of it when it does, and gently escort it back to the chosen object of your attention, such as the breath. So if your mind wanders 100 times, then simply bring it back 100 times. No judgment needed. Observing a busy mind during a meditation practice is the perfect opportunity to practice letting go, patience, non-attachment, and non-judging. Another question is, how do I deal with boredom or getting frustrated? As mentioned earlier, we live in a society that is overstimulated by multimedia and all forms of information technology. As you begin to unplug from this constant flow of information and stimulation, it's very common to feel restless and perhaps even empty. The craving for more stimulation can feel quite uncomfortable, and you may experience this as boredom. Many people struggle with boredom when they first begin to meditate, and they're simply not used to having a quieter and less stimulated mind. In order to reduce stress and wind down the nervous system, training your mind to become more comfortable with less stimulation is essential. With time, meditation will help you learn to quieten the busy mind so that you can enjoy the feeling of inner peace and tranquility. Rather than feel bored, you begin to appreciate this inner peace that actually becomes quite energizing. So another question is, how do I stop falling asleep? The goal of meditation is to become more alert, awake, and aware, and not to fall asleep. Having said that, if you find it hard to stay awake during a meditation, please don't see it as a failure. Many people who have sleep disturbance have trouble with daytime sleepiness, and this can present difficulties when attempting to meditate. See if you can notice at what point in the meditation that you begin to doze off, and notice where in the meditation that you wake up again. Is it the same place each time? There may be something that you can do to reduce the likelihood of falling asleep, such as keeping the eyes open or meditate standing up. So another question is, how do I deal with uncomfortable feelings that arise during a practice? Now, it's next to impossible to get through life without facing some kind of emotional pain. Feelings such as loss, grief, heartache, sadness, anger, anxiety are all part of the normal human experience. People can go to great lengths to avoid feelings. One of our common but unhelpful strategies is to distract ourselves from feelings by suppressing them and ignoring them. And we can turn to behaviours like drinking alcohol, taking drugs, gambling, overeating, watching excessive TV, playing computer games, excessive shopping, excessive sexual activity, excessive reading, and so on, the list goes on. Distraction and avoidance helps reduce painful feelings in the short term, but over time leads to disconnection to ourselves and others. And very quickly, it becomes difficult to even see what's really going on and how we're really feeling underneath the facade. Most tragically, these excessive avoidance behaviours over time can lead to more pain and suffering as secondary health problems emerge and relationships are affected. Learning how to be with and stay with difficult feelings actually allows us to stay connected with ourselves so that we can heal from whatever caused the pain. Managing feelings by acknowledging them and allowing them to flow through the body helps us to stay in control of our lives and grow wiser through the experience. So as you practice meditation, see if you can explore any feelings or emotions as they arise by staying with them and noticing where they emerge in the body and how they may change over the duration of the meditation. With practice, you'll find that you're no longer pushed around by feelings and you no longer need to avoid them. You'll discover that you can respond to any painful emotion with awareness and compassion so that you can continue to live the life you want, no matter what difficult circumstances that you might face. Meditation offers us a mirror to see ourselves clearly. The reasons that we come up with for why we can't meditate will often be the same reasons that we give ourselves for other important things in our lives that we don't do or avoid. So we don't have time, or we forgot, or we got bored, or other things were more important. Addressing these barriers to meditation can also help you overcome the same barriers in other areas of your life.